I dream of Vietnam for many years. I dream of the people, I dream of the country, I dream that I can speak the language fluently. And then when I wake up, I feel so sad because I try to speak the language and I can't because I no longer have it.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Talk Vietnam. In the previous clip, we were able to meet our featured guest for this week, a woman of Vietnamese origin, a woman who has had to fight her own battles throughout her life. She was born with loss of vision in both of her eyes, and she has never been able to meet her biological parents. Since the age of 4.5 years old, she has had to leave Vietnam in order to go to Australia. And since then, she has described her life as one that has been filled with solitude and always the question of, returning to Vietnam and of wanting to reconnect with her homeland. She still holds snippets of those early childhood years that she spent in Vietnam, and it is these flashes of memories that have helped her to become more and more curious about Vietnam and wanting to reconnect with Vietnam. We're very lucky in our show today to welcome Emma Phạm, who will share more about her journey of reconnecting with her homeland. Hello, Emma. Hello. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on to our show. You look very beautiful in your áo dài, and it seems that we have a little bit of a color theme going on here without planning. We both have orange on. Yes, you are doing well?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and now I understand that your original name when you were born was a different name. Is that right? Can you tell us about your birth name?
Yes, my name is Phạm Thị Chín.
Yes, and Chín means 9 in Vietnamese.
That's
that
correct.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. Now, you were originally born in Biên Hòa city of Đông Nai province. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, about the birthplace?
I understand that I was born in Tân Mai, and I have a few childhood memories. I cannot explain how I came to be in the orphanage there, but I know I spent my life in the orphanage of Tân Mai till I came to Australia, and it was during the war. So, and I just remember sitting long days outside with many children, and I remember the early curfew because, as I said, it was during the wartime, and so we needed to be in early. So it would have been about probably 4:30 or 5.
Yes.
And I remember hearing the big doors close.
Yes.
And it was not until many years later that I was told that there was a military base.
Right near to the orphanage.
Yes, quite near to the orphanage, that's correct. And I also remember the smell of the baked earth when it was very hot.
Yes.
So the days would be very hot. And I also remember the smell of the boiling water. And it was so hot, you couldn't drink it. So for me, it seemed forever before we could get any water to drink. And of course, there was not much to eat because there was many children to feed. So I think we basically had like a rice porridge, come to think of it. But I also remember come New Year, we would have some kind of small treat, probably a small piece of cake or each probably, and some new clothes. I just remember we were given new pants and shirt to wear for the new year.
Yes.
So I do remember that. I am happy because I have other children and I know the culture and I have the language. It was very simple and I think relatively peaceful. When it rained, it was very noisy, so I used to sit inside and listen to the rain when it poured on the corrugated, and it was very, very hot. I have held on to these memories all my life. The smell of the baked earth, the sound of the falling rain, and the three words that I have, joy, tâm, and ma. It was ingrained in my memory.
Why do you think these memories are so vivid in you?
I think it's because coming to Australia, I was taken so suddenly, and so I felt that I had to hang on to what I had, and I was determined to remember what I could, no matter what.
Yes.
And it was important that I did. And so I just would try to hold on to what I could remember. And the three words I remembered all my life, if nothing else, was joy, meaning banana, tâm, meaning bath, and ma, meaning mother. They were the three words I would remember all my life, despite the fact that I lost my mother tongue. And that's the thing that makes me sad even today.
Yes. If I may ask more about the condition in which you were brought to Australia, you had no idea what was going on.
No, because I couldn't speak English, and I couldn't eat the food. I do believe people tried to get me to eat, but I couldn't eat anything.
Yes.
Because I was not accustomed. And then someone decided, oh, maybe we should cook her rice. Maybe she'll eat it.
Yes.
And I do remember eating it because I could smell it, you know. They put the bowl in front of me and I ate it.
Now, this was back in 1973. And
that's correct.
Of course, you did not know at the moment why you were brought to Australia.
No.
But later on, it was found out that you were taken to Australia for a cornea transplant.
Well, to see they could fix my eyes.
Yes.
Yes. And by the time I came, it was too late. They couldn't do anything. My eyes were beyond repair.
Yes.
And I was told I was only meant to be here for 2 years for treatment, and then I would return.
Yes.
But of course it didn't turn out that way, because I was told many, many years later, just recently, that I was never to return anyway, because the orphanage I was there, the orphanage of Tân Mai, was only there for those children to be either adopted locally or for overseas.
Yes. And the fact that they had already sent you overseas would mean that you would not come back.
That's right, but I didn't know that.
Yes.
Until very, very recently.
Exactly.
And I understand, you know, the purpose, you know, of good intentions, but it was not thought through very well.
The first foster family that you were introduced into, and this would be the first of 13 families.
Yes.
What happened with the adoption process? Did anyone tell you later on?
I was never adopted, not by them. That never took place. I think when they realised that things were going wrong, they were asked, would they consider adopting, and they rightly said no. They already had 5 children, and they were not finding it very easy to cope with someone who couldn't see.
What sort of abuse did you have to endure, and what kept you going through that?
I mean, with the first family, I suppose if I was ever stressed, I used to wet the bed. You know, she would hit me for doing it, and of course, the more you hit someone, the more you're going to do it, aren't you?
Yes, exactly.
So,
the more nervous you become, and as a child, you were only 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so, and of course, you know, my then father I was not allowed to spill anything on the table. If I spilt 1 grain of rice, she'd yell at me.
Oh.
You know, so I had to make sure I would eat really carefully. So to this day, I'm a perfectionist. So I just go absolutely hysterical if I spill something on the table.
Yes.
And people say, it doesn't matter. And I say, well, it mightn't to you, but it does to me.
Yes.
You know.
With a new identification, Emma was forced to call Australia her new home. The plan was for her to be adopted, but no one could be found to fulfill that role. She was left shuffling between 13 foster families without knowing where she was going to.
I cry, I believe, for many weeks. Everything is so strange. The first family I was to stay with was to be 2 years, which was one long nightmare.
What is wrong with you, girl? I'm sick of you. Why are you always crying?
My mother would come to me almost every night and say, I'm not your mother, my husband's not your father, don't call us mum and dad.
I'm not your mother. My husband is not your father. Don't call us mum and dad.
And this happens. I knew they did not want me with them. They let me know, you do not belong here.
Throughout your different kind of periods with your foster families, you once mentioned that dreams were a way of you kind of escaping reality, either knowingly or unknowingly. Can you share with us some of these dreams that you had throughout your childhood?
When things became really bad in my life, you know, when I thought I couldn't stand it, you know, I just go into the world of my imagination and I would just pretend I was anywhere but where I was. All of a sudden, my body would be here, but my mind would be floating often in Vietnam. It doesn't matter where in Vietnam, but it'd be often floating in Vietnam. And that would often help me cope with what was happening around me. And that would often sustain me, you know, because I knew no one could get to me.
Yes.
You know, soon after I came to Australia, I quickly developed an imaginary friend, and I believe she saved my life too.
Yes. Can you share with us? I believe her name is Louise?
Yes,
Yes.
Louise. She's often said to me, you know, she had brown hair, blue eyes.
Yes. Why do you think you kind of developed this imaginary friend? It was a companion for you throughout?
Yes, she was a companion for me throughout, and you know, and she was just a very important mainstay, and she just helped me cope through, you know, through things. Because when I was alone and was not allowed to join in anything, when I was kept, you know, in my room, whatever, she and I would have a lot of fun and have great conversations. Not allowed, but, you know, we'd have great conversations. And so I do believe that's how I developed my imagination.
Yes. You know, you mentioned in your writing that you came to the point where you became almost angry at the decision of you being brought to Australia without your wanting it.
When people kept throwing at me saying, you should be thanking God that you've been brought out here. And I'd think the reverse. I don't want this. You know, do you think this life is any easier? You know?
Yes.
you're creating this mess and I'm the one that has to keep tidying it up. Every mess you make, every chaos you create, I'm the one that's tidying it up.
Yes. Did you ever think about what life in Vietnam would have been like?
All the time. I keep thinking it can't be any worse than this. It has to be better. You know, they can only see the benefits. You know, education, a roof over your head, you know, the fact that, yes, you're being helped. Yes, of course I've got friends who love me, and I love them very deeply. I want to say that now. I have friends who I love very deeply.
Yes.
But, and I know it's going to sound terrible, but sometimes it's not enough.
No. There's a void still in you up until this day.
Yes.
What is that void?
I miss my identity, I miss my culture, I miss the language because I've been forced to give it up. I've been forced to surrender it.
Yes. How do you know that you're missing something that you really never really knew or had the chance to know?
Because I used to dream as a child that I could speak the language and I'd wake up and I tried to recall it. And it's like a fading star and it's gone. And it would happen time and time and time again.
Yes. Those memories, though, kept you going, no?
Yes.
Through your toughest time, do you remember the smell of the baked earth?
Yes.
The hot boiling water?
Yes.
Do those keep you going?
Yes. Long map means so much. It reminds me of homeland. I mean, that's what the heart of the mother is. It speaks of love and, you know, it speaks of longing and it speaks of identity, it speaks of culture, it speaks of the things I've lost. It speaks of the things that I can only dream of.
You also wrote a poem to your mom.
It's called Questions.
Yes. And these are what you have for your biological mother.
Absolutely. It's sort of like a questioning letter to her. So I sort of say, does the moon shine for you as it does for me? Do the stars shine for you? You know, does the music of the day, you know, sing for you as it does for me? You know,
that's very sweet.
Do you know that I look for you through time and space?
Yes.
Do you know that the little girl in the orphanage who walks along the bench thinks of you?
Yes.
Do you know that when I walk along the street, I look for you?
Yes.
That I hope that one day when we meet, you will say the 3 magic words that a mother and daughter say to each other from time to time. I love you.
Yes.
No wind to carry the tears I cry for you, no sun to send my smile when I think of you, no water to quench the thirst of my love I feel for you, no words to describe my need for you, no breeze to send messages to you, no warmth to dry the tears which have turned into streams to rivers and from rivers to oceans. Wherever you are, I too hope that gentle hands carry me to you. Where shadows never lengthen and brooks gurgle and trip over stones. Where flowers bloom and happiness reign. Waves are ripples in gentle surroundings. Where birds constantly sing. Where grass is green and where trees stretch out their arms in welcome. Where no fear, no misunderstandings, no uncertainty, no sadness exists and no tears reside. Until then, I will live for the time when I can run with freedom into the embrace of your outstretched arms and finally say, at last I am home. I am with you, and we won't be strangers to one another as we are now.
Now, when you were 17 years old, you began to live independently.
Yes.
Can you tell us about this and what led to that decision?
I just remember from the time, I don't know, I had a dream that I would live independently. I suppose because living with so many people, I just thought, oh, I've had this. I decided, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was determined that I would live by myself. And so, you know, come 17, you know, with the help of some very good people, I applied for housing.
Yes.
And it was a one-bedroom house. And of course I had to be screened very vigorously to make sure that I was able to maintain a house, you know, learning how to clean it and cook and wash and things like that. And so they questioned, that they interviewed and make sure that I'd have work and things like that, which I did. And so I moved in my one-bedroom place in 85. So I was 17 at the time.
Do you remember the feeling of kind of
yes.
moving into your own place?
Yes, it was a bit scary at first, as things are, because you have to get used to strange noises and every sound. You think, oh my God. And then I was taught how to catch the train, 2 trains actually,
Yes.
to get to my work. I was a receptionist. Absolutely loved it. It was just a temporary job. I was a receptionist for an art gallery.
Yes.
Very well-known one. In the meantime, I was learning, you know, to clean house and
Kind of becoming familiar with this new space
Exactly.
and new area.
yes, and learning to pay bills.
Yes.
Funny enough, my first bill, I remember taking it up to my next door neighbour and I said, oh, I think I got a bill.
No one has been so excited to receive a bill.
She said, what are you all excited about?
Yeah.
She said, it's just a bill. I said, yeah, but it's my first bill.
It's my own bill.
Yeah, it's my own bill. She said, oh, don't worry, you'll get sick of it over time. I said, yeah, but it's my own bill.
Yes.
You know. And she said, it's electricity bill. Oh, great. She said, if you feel that way, I'll give you mine.
You can pay mine as well.
Yes.
Now in her small house in Sydney, Australia, Emma loves to write about her life experience as a way to release her stressful thoughts. She has also achieved her higher school certificate and completed a massage therapy diploma at Technical and Further Education, Australia's largest vocational education and training provider. She can do most of the house chores, including threading the needle to sew the curtain. She loves to cook rice for her meal. And most of all, to listen to Vietnamese songs.
đừng dạt dào. Tình mẹ tha thiết như dòng suối.
Emma has been dreaming of living permanently in Vietnam one day.
In 1990, after some time, you decided to return to Vietnam. What led to that decision?
I knew instinctively I had to go back to Vietnam. By hook or by crook, I had to go back. There was this longing that it was time, because I'd been dreaming about it since childhood.
Yes.
And I knew it was time for me to go back. I had to try.
But it was a difficult process. I mean, you would spend some years in finding a person that would help you.
Yes, I know. But I was just so determined. That's why people accuse me of being stubborn.
Yes. No, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah.
In 1990 you came.
Yes.
Who helped you, and what kind of led to that trip?
A friend of mine wrote to the People's Congregation, and she started sending photos out. And again, I was led to believe that a group of nuns took care of me here. And they saw the photos, and they said, yes, we remember her, you see. And so a group of nuns came and met me at the airport.
Yes.
In Tân Mai.
How was that first trip, if I may ask? How was it landing, kind of returning to this land that
Landing, I knew I was home. I knew the minute I stepped on Vietnamese soil, I knew I was home. The smell was familiar, the sound was familiar. I just knew I was home. I just knew it. I mean, and it was just, it just filled everything that my childhood said it would.
Yes. What special memories did you have during that first trip back?
I had made some friends in Vietnam who were in possession of a motorbike or Honda.
Yes.
Which was wonderful. You know, and I said to him, please, could you please drive me to Tân Mai? Because I know in my passport it says I am born in Tân Mai.
Yes.
So he was very willing to drive me to Tân Mai. So as soon as that gate opened, and as soon as I heard the squeak, I knew I was there.
Yes, you were home.
It was the right orphanage.
Yes.
I knew it.
After that trip, how did your life change? You know, how did your focus in life shift, if I may ask?
Then I decided, okay, I'm going to try and find someone who will teach me how to speak Vietnamese.
Yes.
And a bit more about the culture and how to read it.
Why was it important to you that you learned Vietnamese?
Because I'd lost it. I'd lost the art of it. I feel it had been stolen from me, you see.
Yes.
And so I thought I would do my very best to get it back as much as I can.
After that first trip, Emma was lucky to find a Vietnamese language teacher to help her regain her mother tongue.
So he taught me how to read, and he also wrote me out a small dictionary. So I decided, okay, I will learn as much as I can. He brought into my life the appreciation of the culture. Vào dịp đầu xuân, vua Hùng Vương thứ sáu họp các con ai bảo rằng này cha đã già yếu.
As she gradually built up her Vietnamese vocabulary, reading has become a favorite pastime for Emma. Though at her current level, she could only read Vietnamese fairy tales.
Vua lấy làm là.
For certain, Emma wasn't satisfied. She needed a proper environment where she could improve her pronunciation and increase her vocabulary. Once again, her homeland Vietnam beckoned. She felt compelled to return, but she needed a sound plan for it.
How was the experience of learning Vietnamese? It's quite a difficult language, in my opinion.
It's very, very difficult. And So of course I would learn to speak little by little because people would laugh at me and my accent. So it was so funny because on my second trip I said I was eating soup one day at the orphanage I went back to, and I said, kìa, lưỡi con hỏa hoạn.
Your tongue was on fire. But when you say, when you say it like that in Vietnamese, it sounds quite funny. Yes.
Because it's very formal, of course.
Yes.
And of course, I could hear people laughing at me. So of course, I laughed because I knew it was not the right word, but it was the only word I could find. You see? Because I couldn't find. They said no. You should say lưỡi con kìa nóng lắm or something like that.
Nóng lắm, cay quá.
Yeah, cay quá. Yeah, cay quá. That's right, cay quá. But the only word I could find at the time was hỏa hoạn.
Wow. Yes. You've been picking up this language for almost 30 years now. How do you feel? How do you feel about your Vietnamese now?
Well, of course, I still get my words mixed up because I say gọi cuốn tán is it tán nát?
Gọi cuốn bị tan nát.
Yeah. Bị tán nát.
That literally translates to my spring roll is completely
shattered.
Instead of it's just broken. Yes.
So that's also.
I would feel like you have a very kind of melodramatic approach to Vietnamese. From hỏa hoạn to tan nát. Yes.
Well, that was the only words, because when he wrote me the lexicon, he didn't exactly go into what some of the words meant.
Kind of more of the daily life.
He just wrote me general details. So he, you go, bị bẻ. So you got broken. So you got tan nát.
Tan nát.
Yeah, so he didn't say shattered. He said broken.
Yes.
So he said, okay, right. So which one do you use for which? You see? See, there's so many words to describe that one word for broken. So when someone else, you say, no, if you're going to use the word shattered, you say, trái tim của chị là tan nát.
Đúng rồi. Trái tim bị tan nát. Còn gọi cuốn thì chỉ bị bể thôi. Đúng không ạ? Okay.
I think shattered is a perfect good word for gọi cuốn, because sometimes it can shatter in your hands.
Yes. As I said, you have a very melodramatic approach to Vietnamese.
As if by fate, Emma received an offer from a friend to join him and teach English through Skype. She immediately accepted and set up a Skype group chat to become an online English teacher. Most of the students are from Vietnam, and some of them have become quite close to her.
Mạng Skype đã kết nối hai chị em, và chị Emma là người thích học tiếng Việt, còn tôi thì thích học tiếng Anh, cho nên hai chị em giống như là trao đổi vai trò cho nhau. Thỉnh thoảng tôi làm cô giáo dạy tiếng Việt cho chị Emma, đôi khi chị Emma là làm cô giáo dạy tiếng Anh cho tôi.
Emma có thể là đặt những cái chủ đề liên quan đến Việt Nam, thời tiết của Việt Nam như thế nào, hay là thậm chí là những cái khác biệt Việt Nam và Úc như thế nào. Qua đó mình cũng biết là Emma quan sát, Emma nhớ về những cái đặc điểm, đặc tính, hay là chịu nghe về chuyện của Việt Nam. Thì đó là cái điều mà mình cảm nhận được Emma hướng về quê hương.
Frequent exchanges with Vietnamese students only fueled her desire to return and find her roots in Vietnam. One day, she found International Social Service, Australia, an organization that assists children and families facing complex social problems as a result of migration. Emma came to them for help.
And people keep asking me, would I be better off here or there? And I keep telling them, I'm sorry, but I should be back there, because even though life would be shorter, I don't belong here either.
She had a very difficult adoption, very traumatic start. Back in 1970s, they thought, we'll just love them and we'll give them a good education and a good upbringing, and that's enough. But we know now that's not enough. They need to be connected with their Vietnamese community. They need to be connected with their culture, their language, not just put into a white family and grow up in a white neighbourhood, because when they get older they say, I don't fit in here.
Fortunately for Emma, some contacts of ISS located her orphanage in Vietnam. It seemed to Emma that a new door had opened, leading her to the answers of her origin.
Today, we're in a very special place. This is actually the alleyway leading up to the Tân Mai orphanage, where you used to live for the beginning part of your life.
I'm starting to feel excited, I guess. Wow. Oh, there's the gate. Oh my God, it hasn't changed.
Em Chín,
Oh,
xem Rosalie, Thiên.
wow.
Wow. Why you
My sir.
Oh, my sir. I super need you.
Oh, come and see you. Lâu quá không gặp á.
Lâu quá không gặp mấy chục năm. You speak Vietnamese.
Cố gắng nói mà.
Sơ mừng lắm khi con nói tiếng Việt, tiếng mẹ đẻ. Tôi đang dẫn con đi tới cái chỗ mà con ở trước, cái khu vực đó còn, nha.
Childhood memories then flooded back to Emma.
I'll be happy to see them, of course.
Chín.
Dạ.
Hồi trước mình hay đút cơm cho Chín ăn nè, để dẫn Chín đi nè. Chín bị mù nhưng mà đẹp gái.
Dạ.
Còn nhớ gương mặt nó Chín đẹp đó.
For the first time in nearly 50 years, Emma had a surprise meeting with the friends who used to stay with her in the orphanage.
Bé là Chín bám ở giường á, là đi lần đấy.
Wow.
Bé nhưng mà chị nhớ em, nhớ.
Wow.
Lần sau học tiếng Việt nhiều nên về các chị nói chuyện lưu lò.
Cần thiết là tiến bộ nhiều hơn mà.
Tự nhiên bất ngờ mà lòng rung động. Cũng mong cho cô Chín kiếm được gia đình và sum họp với nhau.
Một người con mặc dầu tôi không sinh nó ra nhưng mà tôi nuôi nó từ nhỏ, cho nên tôi cũng mừng, nó khát khao cái tình cảm mà được ôm ẵm khi còn nhỏ đó. Tôi cảm phục cái tinh thần yêu thương đất nước quê hương của nó.
So as we saw in the previous report, you had a truly touching meeting with Thiện. Tell us about this meeting. What emotions did you feel?
It was just wonderful to see her after all these years, and she would remember me, of course. And I mean, I did recognize her voice, which was lovely. And of course, the children who are now adults, of course, grew up with me in the orphanage, came for the occasion. And they themselves are now married and brought their children with them. And of course, they would ask, do you remember? And funny enough, I think I remembered one of them only because of her distinctive voice.
Yes.
Which I found was very interesting.
What is your big hope for the future?
Well, my message has always been all along by coming here and telling my story is that, look, be proud of who you are, be proud of being Vietnamese,
Yes.
be proud of your culture, hold on to it with both hands, hold on to your identity, cherish your language.
You know firsthand what
Yes.
it's like to lose
Exactly.
your identity.
Do not surrender it willingly.
Yes.
Because you just don't know what can happen at any given moment. So just hold on to it with all your heart and all your soul and all your being. That's my message. and whatever happens afterwards will be a miracle.
Yes. Throughout the years, what do you think Vietnam means to you?
I will always be Vietnamese first and foremost. My heart and my soul, I'm always Vietnamese first. When people say, where are you from? I will say Vietnam.
Yes.
So
and you are.
Well, they never make it specific, you see. So, you know, so I say, I'm Vietnamese. So they say, what are you? I'm Vietnamese.
You have a very Vietnamese soul. It not only shows on the outside, but it shows through the stories that you have told us here, through your memories, through the way that you keep hold and cherish every single bit of Vietnam that has been left in you and continues to flourish in you. Thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, your stories have been very inspiring, the way that you have been able to build strength in your life, despite all the hardships that you've been through, and keep Vietnam at your core and at, you know, the most beautiful part of your soul.
Thank you.
And that has also wrapped up this wonderful journey that we have had with Emma in, you know, learning more about her reconnection with her roots and her challenges through life and overcoming those challenges in order to be here in Vietnam again, reconnecting with her soul, with the Vietnam that's always been a part of her. Thank you very much for joining us here on Talk Vietnam. We'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.